Hello, this is Kitty Anderson, your menopause coach. Today I'm going to be talking about the really big problems for neurodivergent menopause. I'll be 68 this year with 18 years of HRT and 15 years of the Paleo Autoimmune Protocol diet. Our immune systems really need support at menopause because the fluctuation of hormones ages our immune system. Our bodies aren't acting the same way as premenopausal. If you'd like more information, email jumpstartaip@gmail.com. Most of the experts are still yet to talk about the additional treatments needed for neurodivergent menopause. Remember, you want to feel resilient, no brain fog, very low anxiety, no trauma re-triggered, no addiction re-triggered, deeper breathing. It's easy to smile. You have no depression. You should have optimism every day. Many women are starting new things, like a new career. One of my recent clients came to coaching saying, "I've never been to a doctor before. I usually avoid doctors." At the end of coaching, she said, "I'm going to live God's abundant life." Many neurodivergents are addressing psychology, not knowing that it's linked to biology. Our immune systems are invisible to us. Sadly, the neurodivergent person does not know that they might have an immune deficiency. If it's not caught early in life, it'll be caught later when they have fewer nutrients, lots of stress, possible hormone issues, toxins around mold or foods, movement, loss of movement, circadian sleep patterns messed up, infections, or vaccines. They need to be seeking different types of therapy, like light therapy, anti-inflammatories, immunotherapy, aromatherapy, and psychotherapy. We want you to do immune strengthening exercises and diet. I see symptoms in all my autistic clients that are quite different from normal menopausal women or typical menopausal women. They have early interoception problems. This means they don't really recognize pain, taste, hunger, nausea, thirst, temperature, illness, toileting needs, and muscle tension. This often leads to a sleep disorder, eating disorder, and other sensory issues. You'll see that the brain interprets these signals from all around the body, and neurodivergents have a different kind of brain. So interpreting menopause is an absolute crisis, and a coach can help you through this time. Many of my clients will believe they are not autistic, but when they recognize these types of issues growing up, as well as issues in speech, some type of speech delay or challenges in communication, they tend to like a script, a defined set of things that they do during the day. Uncertainty is a problem for them. It causes an incredible amount of stress. And so we can overcome this uncertainty in coaching. And if you have hypermobility, where your joints are highly flexible, you might be double jointed. You might have joints that bend backwards, as in this picture. Hypermobility means collagen in your body is different. And that means up to 30% of your body can be different from a typical body. And that includes your brain. So that's very likely there is some autism or ADHD in your brain. So of course your menopause is going to be different. It's going to be difficult. So what do other experts say? The Neurodivergent Woman podcast doesn't recommend anything beyond the standard of care, and using a regular OBGYN is very unlikely to work for you. Brain fog is very common for neurodivergents, and the International Menopause Society says this is normal and common. They offer no solutions. Many autistic neurodivergents need routine, and that means not seeking solutions that mean a change in her routine, a change to her doctor. And this is a time in her life when she needs a specialist. Even with coaching, she is frozen in the middle of the road. She chooses few treatments, doesn't personalize, doesn't experiment, often doesn't attend coaching. She often prefers to do it alone. She prefers herbal to prescriptions. She over-researches. So ultimately, she is slowing herself down. She often doesn't recognize brain fog as autoimmune activity. She will need functional medicine. She will likely need a naturopath. She will benefit from anti-inflammatories. She will likely have lingering effects from COVID. You most likely need functional medicine if autoimmune runs in your family, if you have Hashimoto's or thyroid disease, if you have trouble eating a nutrient-dense diet, if you have poor mental health, even with the HRT optimized. This is especially common if women did not have children. You might be oversensitive or undersensitive to pain. You might be medication sensitive. If you have more bloating and allergies at menopause, if you have COVID repeatedly, if you have ADHD, autism, or any type of neurodivergence. Many of the women that come for coaching are high IQ, high performers, but they don't know that this is because of the autism, and the autism will slow them down on menopause recovery. I'm a holistic health coach that helps you personalize a program. Autistic brains and nervous systems are different. Autistics usually have defective immune systems, so we have to look at multiple treatments in order to get them back into full recovery. We want to work on reducing pharma that causes weight gain. We always want light therapy. We'll work on food timing, muscle building, getting that circadian rhythm nice, deepening that sleep, working on immune health, reducing toxins, balancing hormones, and figuring out what nutrients you need. Here's a screenshot for you. I've created many quick and easy checklists just like this that can help you understand what's going to help you and what's going to hurt you. We'll get you back on your feet again. That's exactly what you need. I've written 35 ebooks that help you understand the science behind my recommendations. It's making it easy for you. Please keep in mind that the menopause world is an industry. This runs by profit only. You have to be very cautious as you enter this industry. And this is very difficult to do when you're not feeling well. Luckily for me, I've been able to do research, and then I have the client stories to tell me which parts of the industry are working and which parts are not. This is really valuable, and it's one of the benefits to coming to coaching. Coaching exists so that you can work your way back to premenopausal health. This is where you get your questions answered. This is where you find your shortcuts. Menopause is a very dangerous time, and you're not hearing this in the media. All of your future health is predicated on your menopause recovery. You need your HRT. You need the proper supplements. You need anti-inflammatories, and you need movement back into your life. All of these things are critical to putting together a full recovery. Most of my clients are hoping that a single doctor will help them through, but that's not the way our medical systems work. Our medical systems are fragmented, and you have to knit together a solution, very likely using multiple doctors. Very likely. Gmail.com. I write about the detail of each of these types of providers and the products that they offer in my menopause industry ebook, jumpstartaip@gmail.com. Remember that if you are frozen and socially withdrawn, you are very likely autistic to some degree. This will hurt you when it comes to doctor shopping and all the other activities required to get your brain back on track. We want you back in action. I found 13 research papers that specifically address autistic menopause, which is the worst menopause. I'm going to show you some highlights now. First, let me say that autistic and high IQ are usually overlapping and also include ADHD. You may not be diagnosed yet. Another element is that autoimmune activity kicks up at menopause, and that means new diseases for you. High IQ are up to 10 times more likely to have an autoimmune disease. Here is a study on neurodivergence, autistics, ADHD that gets a lot of press. They have the highest levels of anxiety, sensory problems, depression, inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. This totally changes your life at menopause. You can see that you would need to go beyond HRT to HRT+. This study shows a cross-section of a typical brain on top compared to a neurodivergent brain on bottom. So the blue and green spots are binding sites for inflammation. The autistic, ADHD, high IQ brain is a high inflammation brain. It needs anti-inflammatories. This study shows the premenopausal brain full of healthy, active red cells, and you can see how it degrades in perimenopause and postmenopause. So getting treatments, especially vitamins and minerals, is going to be key for you. This is where diet has to be altered in order to maintain an active brain. Many autistics start life with a smaller than normal cerebellum, and other areas of the brain are larger than normal. They have different brain tissue, neurotransmitters, and receptors. The cerebellum is responsible for emotional regulation. HRT will help a lot with this, but other treatments really might be necessary due to this smaller area of the brain. An integrative psychiatrist could be very helpful for you during menopause. ChatGPT says autistics do not recover from menopause with HRT alone. For this reason, I coach my clients on a 15-point plan for recovery. We need to consider everything when it comes to menopausal autistic health. This means an OB/GYN or a regular online service helping menopausal women will likely not be enough for autistic women. Research is needed because we haven't devoted research to autistic menopause. We're really concerned about brain fog and anxiety, any type of mental health system. Autistic women get substantial relief with estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone, but have residual issues, sensory overwhelm, executive function fatigue, and lingering anxiety. There are comorbid medical conditions that drive symptoms that HRT alone cannot resolve. You must seek out a functional medicine doctor to try and address these other types of symptoms. My coaching programs help women to find the right doctor and the right treatments for them. An autistic support website said that 54% of autistic women do not know they are autistic when entering menopause. They find out when their anxiety is uncontrollable. They always say that symptoms are more intense than expected, and 96% said that healthcare professionals do not understand them. 88% of OB/GYNs say they do not understand autistic menopause. I give my clients tools to better communicate with their doctors. I help them narrow down the symptoms that are key for them. Autistic women have some bigger problems during perimenopause and menopause. Anxiety and depression, which is a 40 to 70% lifetime prevalence, will spike during perimenopause. This might look like panic attacks. This can stop your life. Alexithymia is difficulty identifying the feelings of others or yourself. So this is about half of autistics. It makes it harder for the autistic to notice HRT benefits or side effects. They often delay dosing up to get treatment working. ADHD traits, 20 to 30% of autistic women have ADHD. This worsens executive function. You might need a stimulant. Joint hypermobility, for up to 45% of autistic adults will have trouble with their joints. Estrogen supports the joints, and testosterone supports tendons and ligaments. Autoimmune disorders are up to 3 times higher than the general female population. Inflammation is a horrible problem, and that is affecting your cognition. Gastrointestinal disorders, up to 70% are having gastro problems. This means nutrients aren't being absorbed. You have to solve this problem, and it takes a functional medicine doctor to help you through this. Please come to coaching. Most autistics have never understood nutrition and how deep nutrition is going to be critical at menopause because it actually changes autistic symptoms. A study in 2023 by Poudenay found out that many nutrients improve autistic behaviors on both sexes. Very likely, autistics have a different need for vitamin A and zinc. Eating grains will reduce the availability of zinc in your body. So what you eat really matters. What you eat can block nutrient absorption. Omega-3 is very useful for the ADHD that commonly co-occurs with autism. Low levels of vitamin A are extremely dangerous for the brain and the immune system. The other thing is that high androgens will hurt your vitamin A in your brain. New autism drugs are actually being based on the estradiol molecule for both sexes, so get your HRT. At this point in my menopause journey, I'm age 67 with 17 years of menopause, 17 years of the best HRT, including the wonderful testosterone, 15 years of the paleo diet, which beats out the Mediterranean diet when you use nutritional geometry. I also have experience with long COVID clients, women that are struggling to remove the remnants of COVID from their body. Build your personal plan with me. If you would like to make fitness fun again, let's set something up. Life is short. You want to get this problem solved. Your doctor doesn't understand that hormones combine in your brain to impact your behavior. This is all from the psychology research. This is not in the HRT research. Hormones at low levels or hormone loss with 0 hormones cause procrastination, might make you demotivated, irritated, grumpy, antisocial, unfocused, insecure, trauma-triggered, critical, and overbearing. Many women are overwhelmed with anxiety at menopause. This is caused by low hormones, but also can be caused by a COVID infection or exposure to others with COVID. Long term, our body has been affected by this infection, and we need treatments to recover. Let's continue our list of psychological changes caused by no hormones or low levels of HRT. You could become a binge eater, impulsive, undisciplined, unforgiving, grief-ridden, depressed, impolite, disconnected, indifferent, withdrawn, and now reclusive. You'll see a lot of women start collecting things. This is an increase in OCD type of behavior. If you see this and it's interfering with your life, consider adjusting your HRT. You may have become very hard to work with, and this means a lost job or lost income. You might be lacking compassion. You might have low energy, be unproductive, crippled. You might even notice that you're limping. You're sad, uncentered, angry, interrupting others, which makes you look inconsiderate. These are all problems for us. This type of psychology leads to very bad decisions, and you want to get your HRT optimized in order to resolve these problems. Many of my clients are in a menopause trap. The fear caused by having low hormones or no hormones keeps you from trying HRT. Fear stops you from productive meetings with an HRT provider. You might be going blank and unable to speak during an HRT appointment. This is caused by low hormones. You'll have the lack of motivation caused by low testosterone, so you put the HRT project on hold. We do have for-profit medicine, and the doctor doesn't know the psychological aspects of hormones. Doctors aren't always trained in HRT optimization. Even if you're using a specialty HRT clinic, they can be missing the other elements of health. Menopause. So neurodivergence is kind of a social term that we're trying to say that all brains are valid. And even though they have special levels of disability related to having a different brain, I think people are coming to terms with the fact that there's some major differences in autistic brains. And there's a scope, right? So there's a spectrum of things. And then there's treatments that impact how autistic you are. So if you decide to go through menopause cold turkey with no hormones, you're going to be excessively autistic. Excessive, really strong, horrible symptoms. And you have the worst menopause. We know this from the research. And nobody is telling you this. You're sitting there watching videos and thinking, oh, this is me. This is what health is. This is what I should be doing. And the one thing that I see in all of my clients is the resistance to going to a doctor, resistance for collaboration, high resistance to collaboration. And so you'll delay coaching for 4 or 5 years, right? You'll watch videos for 4 to 5 years before you act on the video. And that is a problem of low hormones. Low hormones causes a freezing. It causes a freezing and it makes you inadequate for managing your own health. So I would say mostly for neurodivergence, if you learn one thing, is go get an assistant to help you through menopause. Because you won't have the skills with low hormones. You won't have any skills for working with a doctor. You won't have any skills for getting the help you need. You won't go to coaching. You won't try and figure out the system. You will dig deep into what is your special interest in life. You will start collecting things. You will back away from humanity. You will say it's burnout and not recognize it's a health issue that could be treated and could be helped. So it's very unfortunate that I get mostly women who are autistic who don't know it coming to coaching. Here's an example of a high IQ autistic CEO who didn't know she was autistic until menopause. She said it was too big of a problem, so I waited to investigate. That's the issue. For clients, I share a 600-slide slideshow on autistic menopause, covering all the possible treatments. They don't come right away. They come years later, years after realizing they're in menopause, years after realizing they might be autistic. A lot of times their kids are diagnosed and their grandkids are diagnosed, and they're still denying that they are autistic. So a coach can help you develop action plans to dig yourself out of menopause. So they're not getting the help they need because they're not understanding the trials and the hardships of this particular brain type. It is predictable that it's going to have extra trouble. So I'm sorry for this. I try to be compassionate, but really I get pushed up against a wall every time I take on a new coaching client that is highly, highly resistant to change, very resistant to change. So they are much more likely to back out of society, stop working, and give up. That's a lot of what they do. So I'm sorry for this. You're not getting holistic treatment. You're not seeking holistic treatment. You would rather do a treatment on your own and do hit or miss over and over and over again instead of coming to an expert and working with an expert. So I'm sorry for that, but the research also supports this. So I've read at least 300 research papers on autism and neurodivergence, and that it is highly hormone related. That's why a lot of women can actually test out of autism. They can, because they have hormone levels high enough to get them away from the behaviors of autism. So I'll go through the research. It's kind of interesting. Learn more about menopause coaching at jumpstartaip@gmail.com. If this was helpful, please share. Let's help others.